Welcome everyone to my tutorial where I will be showing you guys how to automatically search and replace text and images using Python. So we will have a templates document which includes placeholder text, which then using Python, especially the Python-docx library, we'll be able to write a script where we can just press a button and it will automatically fill out all of the contents. And so here we see that we will be able to edit contents in the headers, also in a table, and of course also in the main body, the same thing. So Python-docx, I will post a link down below, has its own website and it can be found on GitHub. And to download it, we can either pip install it. So if you want, you can pip3 install Python-docx with a dash. Python-docx. However, I like to download the code myself. So usually I would just go on GitHub. You can see the code here. I can download it as a zip file. And after having it as a zip file, we can unzip it. And here there's a lot of more information on what it does, the documentation. However, the main code is in the src folder, that's source code, and this is the main code. So I will pull that out in the main document. The rest we don't need, so we can delete that. And so let's get started. So I'm using VS Code, and if I take in the whole folder, here I will only show you my implementation, and in later on videos I will explain more in detail how Python-docx works, what the different elements are, so don't be afraid if you don't understand anything yet. So here we start out with a Word template which looks like this. Here I want to replace, for example, company logo by a logo. I want to replace all these texts with text that I have saved somewhere else. And in the end it will look like this. Once it gets started, I can just choose my document, I press a button, and then we see that I created an output.docx, and here everything has been filled out. I'll show you a bit more details on what exactly is being replaced and to see that it actually works. So for the start, I wanted to replace company logo text 1, text 2, which we can see in the JSON file. So we have text 1, text 2, and also the company logo that we want to replace, which is logo.png, which I have saved it in here. And here we see that these texts are then filled in with this. We have name, age, images that gets then added to here, and here's some very important texts and images as well in the body and text, and it all works. Okay, the logo's here, and we see that this header part, this appears everywhere. If you want to have different sections, you can make that in your template. It should work as well. And now let's dive in and see the code. And the code, I will also upload it onto GitHub. I will upload the short code without the GUI, the graphical user interface. If anyone is interested in that, leave a comment down below. I'll also make a video on that. So to be able to understand how everything is done, we first need to understand how a Word document is made up of. So we have a header and we have a main body. The main body includes multiple paragraphs, and a paragraph can look like this. A paragraph itself includes multiple runs. So we have a paragraph which is, I want to replace this important information. It might be that it gets, when it is saved into the XML file, it is saved like this. So the first one has these 3 words, and the second run breaks down this phrase that we want to search, and then the last run includes that information. This is how a paragraph might look like. And the main body also, in parallel of the paragraphs, includes tables, and a table is made up of multiple table cells, and each of them has multiple paragraphs, and paragraphs are structured like this. So each paragraph can have multiple runs. And if we want to go into headers, they are saved in sections under the sections part, and there every section can have a different header, and each header has then the same structure as the main body, so it can contain paragraphs with runs, or also tables that contain cells, which contains paragraphs and then runs. So if we want to be able to search everywhere, we have to go into every single tree here, down the tree into the paragraphs and into the every run, and edit the run individually. And this is code that I wrote myself. So first we will use the Python-docx. First of all, of course, we have to import docs, and I also imported the tables. Well, I'll provide the code in GitHub. So first we create a document using Word templates. So this is saved here. So this is basically the path. I could copy its path and paste it in here. Then the information that I want to replace, I saved it in a separate file, which is called replacement.json in a JSON format. So I want to replace text. I also want to be able to add images to it. And there are multiple ways of implementing it. I just took a simple one where I have all the search phrases in a list. So here I would list out all the things that I search for: the name, the age, text 1, text 2, appearance, important information, and then with what I want to replace it. For images, it's similar. I have the text that I want to search for, and then I have the image path, so where the image is saved. So we can see it's saved here. It's image 1, image 2, and my logo. And I also want to be able to say how big the size is. So after we loaded that, we put it into the replacements. And I wrote a function that's replace text and add images, which takes in the document and what we want to replace. To be able to read JSON, I would recommend to watch separate videos on JSONs, but in the end, this replacements is basically the whole JSON file. And to be able to get the contents, here I have square brackets text. So that means I will go in here, I will go to the text and read so I will save everything that is in here. into replace text. So for each replace text and replace texts, so in each one of these, I have a for loop. I will get the search text and the replace text. So I will get search text, replace text, and save it into variables that I will then replace. So I wrote another function that replaces text in documents. And here, we first of all, as we saw, we need to go through all the paragraphs. So all the paragraphs in the documents.paragraphs. And then we also want to go through all the tables. And of course, to also edit the text in the headers, we need to go through all the sections and then get the header of the section and replace the text in there. We'll first look into the header, because the header includes both the two functions that replace the text in tables and paragraphs. So when we go into the header, it's the same as in the main body. We go through all the paragraphs, we go through all the tables, and then replace it there. For a table, we first have to go through all the rows, and then for each cell in the row. So if we have a table, we would first go through the first, let's take this one, we will first go to the first row, we will look at the first, second, third cell, and then go to the next one, this for loop. And then each cell then contains paragraphs. So there I call the function replace text in paragraphs. And this is the most interesting one, because this is where all the magic happens. So we have search text, replace text, and the paragraph where we want to replace it. So if we see that the search text is in the paragraph text, we do something. If not, because not every paragraph contains the text that we want to replace. So if we see that it's in there, we will get the runs, the different runs of the paragraph. So in this example, we would get, if we take this paragraph, we would get all of these different runs, 1, 2, and 3. And for each run, we will see if the search text is inside the run.text, and then we can call a simple function to replace the old text with the new text. But of course, that works if the whole search tag is inside one run, then we would just replace this part with new information. However, as we see, sometimes a run can split a word into 2 runs. So here we would not find, if we search for important information, because it's spread over 2. So what I did here, there might be better ways. I just took a simple approach. So if we go through, so after we replaced, but we still see, let me change. Ooh, I see, I might have hidden something. The tables might have been hidden. But yeah, let's get back. So if I go through the paragraph after replacing the text and I still see that the text that I want to replace is in there, I will first take all the runs, because I only want to replace one at a time. And how the runs works is, in the end, I want to create a new run where I add the new text, but then leave the text that's before. It still needs to be here, so I would make here a new run, and then maybe I might delete additional runs, but I also need to be sure that if there's text behind the closing bracket that I'm searching for, that one is also left behind. So I want to close down to the only runs that contains this text, because a paragraph might have 50. I only want to find these two. So what I do is I check if it's in here. I will check a smaller version. If I see that it's, so I will have an iterator that will +1 and only look at the next two. And if it's still in here, then I will check the next one, so without the second one. And if I see, oh, the text that I was looking for is not in here anymore, I know it starts from here. And then I start from the back. So if I delete the last one, so if I not look at the last one but it's still in here, I know, okay, I can move on. And if I remove this one that it's not anymore inside, then I know, okay, the end of the text that I'm searching for is this cell. So I would only get the last two, so these two. And then, so I'll join those texts. I will split the text into the text that's before the part that we're searching, the text that we're searching, and a text that comes after it. And after that, I will put the text before in the first run, and then the text that we want to replace into a second run, and then the text that comes after it into another one, and also by making sure that they're in the correct positions. So here I implemented it. So I would get all of the runs. I would start at 0, and the end is the length of the runs. So while the text is still inside the run.txt, and I join them together, so if it's still in there, it's from start +1 till the end. So from this one, I will increment the start. So the start gets larger and larger, so we move back. And then I'll do the same one with the end, but here I will move the end towards the front. So then we find the last text that we're looking for. And this, then we join them together, and then I split it to a before text, after text, and I split it by the search text. And then I would then remove all the runs, add the run that is before, and then here I always use Python-docx functions, so in the paragraph add run. However, here I have to use some XML language. I think XML he uses, and after I create the run, I will add it behind the start one and the start +1, so into the correct positions. So this is basically how it's done with text, and with images it is similar. So for images we would get its size, the path, and so on. And similar to the text, it will go through all the paragraphs, tables, the headers. There it also goes through the headers, all the cells, the paragraphs, and then similar thing is here. So here again is similar. The only difference is that I add an image into it. So most parts is similar, but instead of adding text, I will add a picture where I give in the path and its size. So yes, if it's similar. And so yes, if I do that, I can easily search and replace a text, a Word document. I hope this video helped some of you who are looking to create a script similar. However, the script does not include text boxes and check boxes. That is because Python-docx did not create, does not support it. I myself created, I wrote code myself to implement that. It took me a few days, So I'm not sure if I want to give that out, but if enough people leave a comment down below, I might consider making a separate video on how to edit text boxes and checkboxes. And yes, thank you for watching. Please like and comment if you have any questions. I'll try to answer everything. And that also helps me stay motivated to make more videos. Thank you very much.